The Ministry of Finance, Budget and National Planning presented to the Federal Executive Council for approval the 2021 to 2023 Medium-Term Expenditure Framework and Fiscal Strategy paper. Like you know, for the very first time since this current democracy, we've had a budget cycle now running from January to December with the 2020 budget. And we felt that this needs to be sustained. And so in our calendar, to ensure the sustainability of this cycle, we have had to bring this MTEF FSP to the Federal Executive Council so that we can get it on time to the National Assembly for passage before we bring in our budget proposals in September. This is just to ensure that we are able to maintain that cycle. Like you know, the MTEF FSP describes the federal government's socio-economic and developmental objectives and priorities for the period under review. We have had to have wide engagement with critical stakeholders in developing this MTEF FSP, and we have taken their inputs into the document that we presented to FEC today. These stakeholders are the National Economic Council, which is made up of governors, civil society organizations, and the public. That we did through a webinar that was widely received and with good participation, not only in Nigeria, but Nigerians from Europe and America joined in and made their contribution. Last week, we also met with the National Assembly with a view to getting some of their inputs. We spoke about the key parameters for the 2021 to 2023 medium-term fiscal framework and the assumptions that we made are based on these following parameters. Oil price benchmark of $40 per barrel, oil production at 1.86 million barrels per day, an exchange rate regime of 360 naira per dollar. Inflation we projected for 11.95%. The non-oil GDP at 132 trillion. Oil GDP at 10.1. A nominal GDP at 142. And projected GDP growth rate for 2021 at 3%. For the first time in doing this, we had to review the global outlook, and just for the very first time in a very long while, all regions of the world are projected to experience negative growth in 2020. Although there are substantial differences across the individual countries, but only China is showing a 1% projected GDP growth. So based on these assumptions, we came up with the parameters that was presented to the Federal Executive Council today. So going by this MTEF FSP, it is projected that in 2021, might have a budget size of about 12.66 trillion. And this will also trend in 2022 and 2023. Because of the pandemic and the implications of it, and the fiscal space where we don't have a lot of buffers, there might be need for some additional borrowing going forward. For the first time, we're bringing in more GOEs. The last time we had the 2020 budget, we brought in 10 GOEs. This time we are bringing in 63 GOEs into the budget so that we have a true national outlook of what our budget will look like. And we had the approval of the Federal Executive Council to proceed with the MTEF, and then soon, Mr. President, we communicate with the National Assembly with the details of the MTEF. Thank you.